The Lord of the Rings mod for Shogun 2 Total War: The Last Alliance, set in the second age of Middle-earth, has just been updated with one of the biggest updates yet. And honestly, if you haven't played this mod or you haven't visited it in a while, now is the absolutely perfect time to dive in and check it out. And unlike Rings of Power, this is actually amazing. So the brand new update adds in the Easterling culture with 2 brand new playable factions. These factions have unique characters along with their own unique tech trees. On top of that, this update also brings in an expanded campaign map, adding in 6 new regions to the east of Middle-earth. The update also includes expanded skill trees for all commanders, as well as something people have been asking for quite a while, and that is new siege maps. So there has been a complete revamp of a ton of the siege maps to fit the balancing of the Last Alliance. However, keep in mind, at the current state of the mod, they are still using the Shogun 2 vanilla placeholders. However, now that they have been placed down, all these custom setups have been made, I think it's going to be a lot easier once the custom assets are done to go and replace them. So that change will add a completely new dynamic to the battles. You'll no longer be fighting over these death trap Japanese medieval settlements, and there'll be a bit more kind of, I guess, medieval base, which is something I'm really looking forward to. On top of that, we've also had a rework to movement in battles, as well a lot of changes to the unit balancing, campaign balancing, and of course building balancing. There has also been a ton of other changes. I'll link the entire full chain list down below in the description, along with where you can download this mod and check it out. And as I mentioned, I highly recommend you do, because as you can see, there is so many factions to play with, all with their own custom unique trees, armies, buildings, tech trees. There's just a lot to mess around with, from the noblemen of Numenor in the midst of their brutal civil war, across to the colonies of Gondorian lands, all vying for control. You can play as the elves and amass this mighty empire as you try and hold back the hordes of darkness. Speaking of which, Mordor is of course playable with a whole custom roster. There's also tons of actual war hosts if you want to play as Angmar, Gundabad. All of that stuff is completely playable and offers completely unique challenges. The dwarves are of course making an appearance. There are several dwarven empires to pick from, some much larger than others, and you can really have a lot of fun with them. Again, all offering their unique unit trees and troop trees and of course building trees. But the main ones we're going to be looking at today is of course going to be the Eastlings, because that's what's new in this exact update. So let's dive into them and see exactly what they have to offer. So here we are on the campaign map with one of the Easterling factions. As I mentioned, there are 2 currently on the map, and here is going to be one of them. As you guys can see, they are situated in the far east parts of the map, making up the new territory that has recently been added. To the south of us, we of course have the lands of Mordor and the other settlements. As we go further south, we'll of course have the forces of the Haradrim. Over to our west, we're going to be running into like the Men of Dale, or predating the Men of Dale. I'm sure we're going to be running into the dwarves and other factions, which are going to be a pain to deal with, but one will hopefully be able to overrun them with. This faction has some pretty interesting unique trading abilities as well. So their faction traits are as following. They have Eastern breeders, so they get a ton more money from herding fields and pastures, and that's going to be their main basis of their economy. Of course, in Shogun 2, food supply is going to be important, and making money is going to be even more important. So it's going to be a nice way of kind of boosting up that food level and just getting a ton of cash. They also have a lot cheaper military buildings, which again is pretty important. The sooner you can kind of fund your war machine, the better. And there are some really good units in these rosters, and obviously working towards them is going to be pretty important. As I mentioned as well, a lot of the units buildings have also all been revamped and replenished, and I also like how you kind of have like the improvements of the colors as well. I think this is a really nice kind of background image, and actually something I would actually like to see taken even further is have kind of like a different background color depending on what type of building it is. So if it's like a military building, it has like a red background. I think that'd be a really nice way of like this, like kind of just showing what's what, because there is no building tech tree, I don't think, in Shogun, or at least in a modded version of Shogun there isn't. But on top of that as well, you also have all of these resources as well to mess around with Shogun as well. So there's all these different villages and other things that you'll be able to kind of think about where you're building. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of military buildings, and having them cheaper 20% is actually gonna be really nice. It's gonna save you a lot of money in the long run. They also have Terror of the East, so this is going to reduce the growth of all their provinces by 2, which is actually quite a lot. However, they also get +3 repression. That's basically just a way of keeping your people happy. And that repression is going to basically allow you just to conquer and not really have to worry too much. As you can see, it's basically negating all of the taxes in our home region, which is really good, along with the other castle and any other buildings that you want to go ahead and build. So a pretty powerful setup in their stats, and of course, you're basically surrounded by a lot of allies. If you go to the diplomacy screen, you can see that Mordor is going to be your best friend in the south. They're going to really help you up. You do have to maybe deal with which you actually start off at war with in the east. You have 3 factions back here to go ahead and conquer, and you're also hostile towards the north, so I guess you're not actually as friendly as maybe I suggested. But once you deal with these guys, you then are just have Mordor to your south, the Haradrim below them, and you can really focus on pushing west into the Misty Mountains, and of course heading towards Erebor, dealing with the elves and anyone else that runs in, and basically uniting a lot more of the Orcish tribes out there. So one thing I'm not 100% sure on as we dive into a battle is if all these units are supposed to be on horseback, because they all are. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's just what this faction is, because it is a nomadic faction, so it does make complete sense that they would all be on horseback, and we get a nice little glimpse of some of their units. Sarah never kind of ceases to disappoint with just how beautiful a lot of these units do look. Really cool stuff. This is going to be one of our Lancer cavalry, and we also have a bow on their back to go ahead and harass the enemy. We have some lighter horsemen right here. I love the shields as well, because of course, just always keep in mind, there are actually no shields in Shogun 2, so all of these animations with shield combat have all been implemented into the mod. Many have been around for a while, but still beautiful nonetheless. And again, you can see some really light cavalry here. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense that I was just maybe taking a little bit off guard because it's just an axe symbol, but it does make sense that they are all actually on horseback. And it's going to be an interesting battle because we are actually going up against a dwarven army. Look at that dude sprinting into battle. Absolutely beautiful. And they have some really scary forces. I thought I'd be able to actually hammer and anvil a lot of these dwarven units because, the dwarfs aren't very fast or mobile and they get tired really quickly. They get stuck into battle. However, now I'm starting to rethink my decision because now that we have nothing to actually hold them in place, it's not going to be great. But one thing we could actually do if we wanted to is we could actually just dismount, right? We could dismount this line to go and basically just get them off their horses. Set them up to basically hold the entire battle line like so, and then just harass. And I guess if we need to, we could even come back and pick up some of these horses later on if we need to remount. But I think for now it's going to be fine. We're going to set our forces up. The dwarves are mounting a little bit closer. They have a lot of their engineers. I believe these guys are crossbows, but even these basic dwarven warriors are pretty scary. Are they like hand crossbows? I think they are actually. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Well, let's see if we can do some damage to them. Again, heavily armored is going to be a little bit scary, but I imagine our bows are going to be able to outrange these guys, and we can of course use all of our mobility. On the other flank as well, we have our elite heavy shot cavalry. These guys are going to slam into the dwarven ranks and hopefully deal with them effectively. But yeah, let's move a little bit further closer and get some volleys off here, and of course we'll pull back out of their range. We don't want to kind of stick in this battle. And how deadly were the first couple volleys? We killed a handful of them. And as they pull out, we're of course going to turn back around and continue this harassment, because that's of course exactly where these factions are going to thrive. Another volley is going to go directly into them and into their back. Okay, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah, we're going to start picking them off pretty effectively, I think, now. Okay, the Arch is doing a pretty good job right now. This unit is just getting whittled down onto the AIs, basically just taking it, deciding not to commit their forces. We do need to be a little bit careful, because if they do decide to come forward, this front line of our dismounted spears are going to be definitely struggling, to say the least. They're not really a match for the dwarven line. And they, of course, have a lot of missiles themselves. I might try and sneak my way through the forest, Maybe try and get a little charge off against them. We'll see. The Archers are continuing to harass, which is great. And we are, of course, whittling down their missiles pretty effectively. The more of these guys we can kill, the better. And what I might do actually is I might try and spin around a little bit as well. That way we'll be able to kind of maybe hit them from multiple directions. And yeah, the AI does seem like it's kind of pretty happy just to take this. I guess they think they have the melee advantage pretty much underway. And I guess one of the great things about this faction as well, oh god, we're getting way too close there, way too close, is that we can actually go and just charge in now. So once we've harassed them enough and whittled down their numbers, because this is a nomadic faction, before they get their crossbows out, we can slam into them. And maybe even kind of continue on the wrapping around and then just kind of really harass them like this. Yeah, then going like that as well, and just fully surround this unit. Again, the dwarves are going to be a sturdy match to say the least, but hitting them from multiple sides should be enough. And with the Shogun 2 AI just kind of chilling right now. Okay, now they're committing. Now they're committing some of these guys. These are very elite great shields, so we want to avoid fighting them if we can. Ideally, yeah, I mean, the dwarves are taking that charge pretty nicely. Okay, now we just need to pull out, continue to fire there, and we can maybe push forward our infantry line a little bit as well now. Okay, some of our infantry are now charging. Here we go, the first proper engagement as the dwarves collide into us. Whoa, okay, the dwarves aren't actually sure. I thought they were. I guess that hasn't been implemented yet. I thought the dwarves, they kind of looked a bit lot shorter, but no, they're actually the same size now. Interesting. Okay, good to know, good to know. I was expecting them to be tiny for whatever reason, and now they're starting to push in, so we can obviously utilize that to our advantage. The dwarves also have huge hammers here as well, so yeah, that's going to be a very scary unit to deal with. But we can definitely move in here and deal with that setup there as the crossbow bolts start to fly in, hitting my back line. We'll revamp there. A beautiful charge in there on the crossbows. And then we're, of course, set up here as well. We could even go and bring one unit back to hit that. And as these hammers set up, we can hit them in the side as well. They're actually harassing me over on this flank as well, so let's pull back. Yeah, another beautiful charge there, only killing a handful of them. Yeah, we really did a number on their missiles, though, and a good rear charge. Unfortunately, though, yeah, right here, unfortunately, these are no, measly orcs right here. These are elite Dwarven Guard. They're going to hold pretty firmly. And I mean, oh my lord, it looks great, doesn't it? Never disappointed when looking at Shogun 2 battles, because they do look glorious as our archers continue to harass. Again, not really doing any damage to these units right there, but trying their best. Let's commit some more men here into the fight. Continue on this envelopment right there. Pull back our soldiers there. We're very close to breaking these guys. We could probably hammer and anvil them by pulling out there, bring back some more of our elite shock infantry, advance up here as the arrow fire continues to come in here. And we could try a little charge through there. I mean, the dwarfs are going to be, yeah, able to withstand that pretty effectively, unfortunately. And we are taking a lot of crossbow fire, but this unit should be breaking momentarily now. Of course, we got to do what we do best with another beautiful charge there into the back of the dwarven lines. A lot of our riders are being broken down, and that's going to be one of the weaknesses of this faction, is just like holding the enemy in place to do this hammer and anvil. I think you're going to have to be really utilizing dismounting infantry, but obviously by doing so, you also, some beautiful animations there. You also obviously negate a lot of your strength. Okay, we're getting charged there. Let's actually just turn and deal with these charges coming in. And these are just more normal dwarven infantry. So now that the dwarves are committing the majority of their forces, we can bring our way up here. Continue to harass this as well. Bring up more of our archers. We're close to breaking this unit, but not doing too well. We can also do headhunting. There's obviously lots of abilities to use as well to give us some more damage. I just need to try and break this front line, and then we can easily call it a day, I think. Some more charges as we go on further on into the battle. Again, just surrounding them, enveloping them, and doing a lot of damage. Oh man, it looks beautiful, it really does. Now there isn't really too much left of the dwarven line. We are actually breaking here, but we're able to hit them in the back, and we should be able to kind of see off a bunch of their units. We've got reinforcements coming to block off any reinforcements that the AI is sending. And as you guys can see as well, for a battle, it's lasted a decent amount of time, right? I think we have a battle timer set to 20 minutes or something, and we're already 12 minutes in. So even though Shogun 2 generally does have a very fast-paced battle, in the Last Alliance mod, the balancing has been made obviously to take a little bit longer, so that the battles do actually last and they feel a bit more sturdy. Units just don't instantly die like in vanilla. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Shogun 2 is my favorite Total War game of all time, and I think the balancing is a ton of fun in that. But having, kind of more of this medieval setting, I guess, I prefer these battles to last just about a little bit longer, and I think they do a great job with it. So again, if you're looking to kind of experience Lord of the Rings with a kind of lengthier battle but a more up-to-date system, because of course at the moment our best one that we currently have access to is of course going to be Third Age, really. Besides this one, of course, you can definitely check that out, and yeah, this is one that I highly recommend. And I'll just get a few more shots so you guys can watch the battles and kind of show things up as the dwarves continue just to filter in more and more men and cut me to pieces. They are a very scary foe indeed. I think you need a lot more micromanagement to deal with them this day, and on the front lines we're just getting cut to pieces. We're dealing fine with their basic infantry, but their elites are just so scary. So there we go. I've managed to break the majority of the front line. I did also just remember that I completely forgot to show you guys the new commander upgrades and tech trees, so I'll do that now quickly before wrapping up the video. So here we are. This is going to be the character skill tree, and as you can see, lots of stuff has actually changed from it, adding in a whole wealth of new abilities and different stuff that you can mess around with. I think it's also been expanded as well. I believe the Shogun 2 one was only ever 2 trees days long, whereas this is now a third one, which is cool. Again, offering you plenty of unique bonuses and different abilities. And then I imagine there'll also be custom retinues as well. When you level up, you'll be able to mess around with them. And then finally, last thing I want to show off again is the tech tree. So right here, you of course have the civil tech, and again, these have all been customized for the faction. And then over on the left hand side, you also have the military one. And then finally, you also have some other kind of additional upgrades, and I think this is probably how you unlock a lot of the upgrades to your buildings. Yeah, these seem like kind of improvements to mines and other buildings. So all your kind of like basic buildings are right here that you can mess around with. And that's going to do it for this update of the Last Alliance. If you guys maybe want to see a Let's Play or a stream on this mod, do let me know by dropping a like and a comment down below. I always love Shogun 2, and I always love coming back to it because the modding community is still just thriving. And there's so many unique stuff here that I highly recommend you guys check it out. And it's so easy to install as well. You just download from ModDB, stick it in your data folder, and you play. And I think this, this mod has come such a long way and is in a really, really good spot to mess around with, especially with the new actual settlement changes as well, having even though you still have Shogun 2 buildings, you have custom castles and sieges and stuff, and I think that's going to be really cool. And again, when they can inevitably change the building to actually look more like Lord of the Rings, that's going to be really, really awesome. As I said, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Go check out the mod, and I'll see you guys in the next one.